And good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special Retro League event. I'm Dan Tartaglione. Joining me in the booth tonight, we got Ian. I'm
Me?
yeah, Ian, our number one ranked player of the event.
Ooh.
So that's going to be fun. And then joining us from Boston, your current world champ, Mr. Justin Desai. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm
Good.
doing good.
Yourself?
Ian, go ahead. You start.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm doing good. I'm really looking forward to this. Both these guys are really good players, and I'm going to end up playing one of them next. Possibly.
Yeah, this is exciting because you've got two guys who were good in the game back then.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of, Feldman is one of the oldest players. Like, he's probably thinking he's playing this new up-and-coming player, Johnny Chu, in this match. So I think we'll have an interesting one. I've talked to Johnny a little bit. And he's got a cool one. Is it which side is it first? Is it dark first?
Let's go ahead and bring up Gemp right now, so that way, because it looks like Paul has the table ready, and it looks like Johnny's going to be on dark side to start, with Paul on light side.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool one for dark.
Is this the same one that he used in the ramp up?
No.
Because that thing was absolutely brutal, but
yeah, that was the trooper thing.
Yeah, it's the hunt down that inserts on you turn one and then.
Right. Yeah, we played. So Johnny and I talked a ton last year.
Well, this is a kind of a surprise. So, Carbonite Chamber testing versus Hidden Base. Not really be surprised with the Hidden Base, just because it seemed like it was the most popular deck in the format. But
I'm gonna be curious because CCT was actually one of the things that I had been messing with leading up to this, because it has the ability to really crap on Hidden Base.
And there's the secret plans from Johnny. Resistance as well.
See what they start. It's going to be interesting to see what Paul starts. Does he start Yarna? Do or do not?
And he went with the do or do not. Wedge Antilles is the captive. And so here we go.
Wedge is interesting because that sort of indicates numbers too.
Mm-hmm.
It's Torch. There's probably numbers.
Yeah. Well, he'll switch it up though. He does the EPP strikes every so often.
Okay, so we got both players starting with 4 icons, or getting 4 activations to start. We got the good luck, have fun from Johnny. He's going to utilize the security tower, getting Lando off the top.
Well, I'll tell you, 4 force. We'll see if something happens pretty early in this game.
And we did see that Johnny in the before joining the game, he said that he apologizes for the trash before he started. So, a little interesting to see what this is going to be about.
I've got a feeling that I might know. That's definitely a comment that I made to people while we were leading up.
So what do you expect, Ian? Ian, what do you think the trash is? Oh, did you test with Johnny?
Say again?
Did you test with Johnny at all?
No. So I spent a long time. I actually only got my games in like the last week because I couldn't settle on a deck, and so I was just putting up casual game after casual game. And there were times I'm picking up just random people looking for a game, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm going to do this to you.
But okay, there's the audience chamber from Johnny. He's going to go out and get an alien.
The platform I was doing with this was manipulator, so screw, sabak, the whole 9 yards.
Interesting.
And you can throw in enough space that you can do things like suicide Boskin bust to go get the location and then sabak him back.
Okay, Jabba the Hutt comes down.
I think we'll see some similar stuff.
Now, when you say screw and sabak, for the players who don't play in this format, what do you mean, Ian?
Screw is scanning crew.
Scanning crew.
Okay.
And sabak is sabak.
Will be Cloud City sabak. Probably mix in 1 or 2 trooper just in case they grab the Cloud City one.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be looking for doing so with the secret plans. Part of the reason that he started surfaced events as opposed to bad feeling have I is that with Secret Plans and Shocking Revelation, which is a 5 that he can recycle every turn, he can do something like pull that, throw a masterful move down, drop the Shocking Rev on top of it, and set himself up an 11
Okay.
with very low work.
And notice that
you start
Jonny.
with Lando too,
Oh.
so
Right, and that's all he's got to do is find a copy of the
Casino.
Casino.
And did see that before Jonny passed turn, he went and played Carbon Freezing.
It's the same thing I was doing, because when you're running this deck, it's actually, you can drop in one Ugnaught and prepare the chamber, which you can then recycle later to give a Destiny on that Ugnaught.
Okay.
You basically are looking for like a 2 or a 3 for 8/4 swing.
Okay.
Like whether you actually take Wedge the rest of the way or not. The reason that I didn't play this deck is that it actually does worse if they don't have a Rebel, and not all the HVX decks really have a Rebel for you. Some of them don't run an EPP hit squad, and when I didn't get that Rebel, I couldn't get anywhere because you're expecting to be able to pull the AC and pull some of the other sites.
So we did just see that Jonny plays Scanning Crew, looking at Paul's hand. I don't think he did not hit any Rebels, but he did say in the chat that it's not the X-Wing version, at least.
Huh. That's interesting.
Jonny does drain at the audience chamber, hitting a transmission terminated out of Paul's hand. There's Lando going down to the security tower. So we already seen the Scanning Crew, so it's going to be interesting to see him come down, if he comes down with any of the other tricks that you were talking about, such as the Sabak. We've got an Ugnaught going down to the Carbonite chamber.
And he knows Paul's hand, so he knows if it's safe or not.
Yep. And that's the big thing with going over there this early, is that if they drop an EPP and kill your Lando, it can slow you down. There's Sabak.
Yeah, there we go. I know Jonny likes to play Sabak. I know years ago I had the misfortune of playing against him with Sabak.
Well, so that's the other fun thing with this, is that, especially against the X-Wing version of Hidden Base, X-Wings are Sabak splits. So I've actually stolen X-Wings or Y-Wings from somebody and then probed out their Hidden Base with their own cards.
Okay. So Lando at the Carbonite chamber, and let's see.
And there's your insert. Told you it was coming.
Yeah. That you did. So,
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to insert when he has Wedge. But he's switched. He's done some. Paul's done the mains thing a few times too.
And the
He likes switching. One thing that Paul likes doing is he likes switching out a package of, like, he'll keep 52 cards, and he'll all of a sudden have, like, in the last year's retro he had, like, a Jedi Luke beatdown squad, and then he'll switch it up to, like, a surprise assault package. Probably has surprise assault in this one, given the traffic control.
And he plays Sabak again on Paul's turn.
Because he knows there's no grabber. So since there's no grabber, he wants to bang these out there, because your worst nightmare with the Sabak deck is getting spot grabbed by Daily Hell to Pay, or what are you trying to push on us?
And Jonny wins again, getting rid of Milas. So he did make Paul lose the Never Tell Me the Odds on the last block, and then he made him lose Milas.
So I don't know if you saw, but one of the cards that came up in Paul's hand was, how do we get in this mess?
Yes.
So that's how Paul is looking to cycle through his deck and get what he needs.
And we did see on the previous Sabak that there was two droids, R2-D2 and another one. I think the R2 with a Destiny of 5. The other droid has a Destiny of 4, so that explains, like, the numbers and everything.
Now we'll actually see if Paul has any what ships he's actually playing. Not X-Wings.
And he's got 4 systems on the table right now.
Ian, what did you play for your decks for most of the event? Excuse me.
My light side, I played 4 different light sides, I want to say. 5 different light sides. The one I brought in is a variation on HBX. I don't want to give away too many details,
Yeah.
in case nobody was paying attention yesterday. And then I did core lag ops for the dark side for all 6, and then brought that through also. Ops
Is it a change? Do you change each round, or you locked for the?
so we had to submit deck lists for the top 8, but prior to that, you could change up each round. But the
Yeah,
core lag
no, I
ops
know
deck
that.
was,
But you won your first. You're in the top 4 now.
yes.
Okay. So do you have to submit decks again, or you have to play
Nope,
the
same deck list as the first time, which is why I didn't want to explain it too carefully.
Got it.
Because I don't know that people really got to see that much of it yesterday. With my 30 up differential, like there just wasn't a lot of time to see.
Okay, so we did just see that Jonny played Monarch Lost, hitting Rebel Barrier, X-Wing Laser Cannon, Power Pivot, Organized Attack, R2, Tunnel Vision, Never Tell Me the Odds, How Do We Get in This Mess, Grimtosh, Out of Commission, what you're trying to push on us, and it could be worse. So the big one there is the grabber,
Yep.
like you mentioned earlier.
Right. So now what Jonny is going to be looking to do is either try and catch him with multiple grabbers in his hand with the Monarch, or he's going to have to really think about when he wants to drop that Sabak when he has Force Saved, because he doesn't have Wise Advice out. So without Wise Advice, it does cost him 3 Force to grab.
Okay, so Jonny he does drain at the audience chamber, and now he's attempting to freeze Wedge.
Yeah, that's big that he gets it now. With it could be worse in hand too. It would no force save, so he basically gets to do it. Have him lose the 8, where it wouldn't have happened there before. Because without it could be worse.
And I think that's why he played the Monarch there, to see if he was safe there doing it.
Yep.
Well, I think it didn't really have anything to do with the Monarch, because there was no force saved anyway. But
true.
I think well, you do the Monarch before you lose any cards, because people will just lose doubles.
Right.
You do the Monarch before you drain it, no matter what.
Yep.
Okay, and Paul is losing from his hand.
Oh, why did he throw the grabber?
Yeah, that's a little surprise. He loses the barrier too.
Well, the other
not a
thing,
big deal. Chu only has 3 cards in hand, and Paul has no force save, so the barrier is not going to help him this turn. If there's a beatdown coming, the beatdown is coming.
yeah, it's coming. I think the big thing is he's only deployed 4 systems, so he's like trying to mitigate it. But I agree, the barrier, I feel like it has to stay. I mean, not the barrier, the grabber.
Grabber and a Grimtosh from hand.
Mm-hmm.
So those are your 2 cards that are going to do the most damage against the manipulator. You get a lost Grimtosh out there when they got a handful of cards.
Yeah, because he's just going to do it right now.
And with no grabber, he plays Sabak again.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't have been able to grab it this turn anyway because he had no force save.
Yeah.
But at the very least, starting next turn, you can put a stop to some of that.
Yeah, he's just going to do it again.
Yep.
And now he's going to get a ship.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. On Chu's side is the altars. So that explains why he didn't start There Is No Try off of surface defense. I was wondering about that.
Now the question is, if you're Jonny, who would you target there with the altars? Is your target Jabba?
It's Jabba. It's a Sabak deck. So your average destiny is 3, so your odds are decent. Pulling it blind, but you still have enough things that are higher than that with do or do not out, you're probably only going to want to do the altar if you've tracked what's coming.
Mm-hmm. And a 4th Sabak will go through.
Oh, the Sabak.
Yeah, losing the Grimtosh and the Grabber, I think, are going to... I don't know that Paul can win the game at this point, but those will definitely impact his differential.
Paul with the perfect. That's not perfect, but the 11. And they lose the casino, so that's cool. That's cool.
Jonny kind of excited to see a rebel in there. Now, I do know that Jared is in the chat. Now, will these players be allowed to? Obviously, they'll be allowed to change their decks in the for the top 4, correct?
I
No.
think so.
It's one like Jared's in the chat, and so I figured if anybody would know, I hope it would be Jared.
Yeah,
They've done it both ways for events. I'm not sure.
Oh.
The other box route. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Jonny loses Prophetess to the Drain.
That adds a little texture to the second round, given that all the games are streamed. You can try to gain some
right.
detail.
Yeah, you won't have as much of a surprise.
No, and so that's why I went with the picks that I went with, because something like the Manipulator, you get a lot more mileage out of it when you don't see it coming. Like there are some cards that most decks run, like the what are you trying to push on us and things like that. Typically, everyone's got a grabber, and actually seeing what's going on can tell you which cards you should be grabbing.
Now, he does move the Gold Squadron Y-Wing over to Kessel, so he does set himself up for a drain of 3 next turn. But you got to think that Johnny's going to do something here to deal with that damage.
So
And another Monarch going through.
yeah, so this one he's doing to see what he's got in his hand, likely because he, unless he just scanned, which if he did, I missed.
No, he did not scan.
So he would have either scanned to know he's going to hit something, or he's throwing the Monarch because he wants to see what's actually in his hand before he drops on him.
And he reveals an X-Wing cannon power pivot, tunnel vision, never tell me the odds, it could be worse, gold leader and gold 1, R2D2, hyper escape, it's a hit, spiral landing claw, and a red leader and red 1.
So the hyper escape and the spiral would be why Paul was okay sending that lone Y-wing over there.
Yeah, he saves 5 there. He does flip.
Ooh.
And
That could go very wrong. Oh no, he's got it to hit in hand, so that's okay.
Yeah, he has the to hit. He's actually like not in a terrible spot, given how the game started. If he can find a grabber, he doesn't have one, but if he can find a grabber to stop the Sabacness. If I was Johnny, I think Johnny needs to start setting up perfect Sabacs.
Yep. And
A
he
lot
needs
of
to
these
start digging for
Sabacs
his
haven't
casino.
been. Yeah, he got one lost. It was a little probably obnoxious that one was lost, and it's the one Sabac that he lost. He lost his whole casino.
yeah. And there's the interrogation room.
Yep, so he's going to drag Lando and the Ugnaught over next door to there and set up a drain of 3.
Yeah, that's not bad. It sets resistance up.
Well, I mean, he knows that Paul doesn't really have any characters in his hand, so he could essentially just move Lando by himself.
Well, so even if he does have characters in his hand, I assume that he's running. What's the Lando add 2 destinies card?
A real hero.
Yeah,
I mean,
there.
at a certain point, it doesn't matter too much. Like, if he comes down, if Paul comes down with a guy, that's probably gonna be better for Johnny in the long run. You saw that Johnny's running like some guys like Vader and stuff like that, and there's no Hujix, and there's no like ground evasion for Paul. So outside of that, it could be worse.
Johnny plays a dangerous time to examine the force pile and reorder it. Jared in the chat is wondering if Johnny's playing I think that's what it is.
Yeah, there's a chance because you can retrieve it with the Savak. So that's one of the things I played with, was throwing in a couple of those lost things like.
Yeah, it just doesn't do anything. There's no guys. There's no like big ability guys aren't really any good for light side in this format. So you might make them lose like 2 force or something,
But what's fun is you can retrieve it with the Savak again, like he's doing with the Monarchs.
yeah, you can retrieve a card that does nothing. True.
Well, I know one of the Monarchs is out of play.
Well,
Because Paul was able to place that out of play with out of commission. Okay, there's a tunnel vision to take a card out of the force drain, and a sense from Johnny.
yep, because he just has ordered the force pile the way that he wants it, so he does not want
Yeah,
him
makes sense.
pulling a card out of there.
And Ian, as you just said, he hits the scanning crew, which is under Jabba's 4 ability. So, yeah, the sense will go through, but Johnny's going to have to lose 2 here. Loses scanning crew and a dangerous time.
Yep. So he just went through 19 cards worth of Paul's deck and then ordered them in the way that he thinks will work out best for him. My guess is there's either a bunch of characters right on top, or there's a bunch of interrupts, and he's going to throw a voyeur as soon as
or just Monarch when he draws cards.
Right.
I kind of wish there was like if we had like some way of tracking the number of saboks that Johnny plays.
Yeah,
He's playing basically 1 a turn.
Yeah, I think that we're up to 5. If anybody could correct me on that.
It's weird though, like he's not. It's not oppressive in the sense of.
Oh. There goes another casino off the top. So I ran 3.
Yeah, imagine that's 3. But yeah, he really wants to find his casino.
Well, that's what I was saying. So he's now got 2 of his casinos in the lost pile. So that will be huge. If the 3rd casino goes in the lost pile, that takes the game much more as something that Paul can engage on. One thing, though, I'm really curious about with Paul's system choices is he flipped before getting anything other than Kessel as far as drain locations. There's no Kifix. There's
No Kifix. Yeah. No Coruscant.
I know he's expecting to do a bunch of damage with numbers, but at least Kifix, there's no reason to not run.
There we go.
So I'm curious if he just flipped fast to try and stop the damage, or...
Yeah, I mean, I think he needed to do that. Like, the 3 is, without the casinos out, the 3 damage is relatively impactful.
And there's another out of commission combo.
Like,
Or out of commission,
Johnny's
sorry.
lost Monarch a bunch. He's played. He had the sense with losing 3. Like, Johnny's lost a fair amount of cards.
Well, and Johnny's not doing a lot of damage with drains. That's why Paul tossing that Grimtosh, and I mean, those literally could be the game by the time that we're done here.
Okay. He does use the signal. He's going to go get an effect. I'm assuming he's going to get a grabber here.
If he's got one.
Yeah.
He might also just be trying to get
okay.
like a drain cancel. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he goes and gets the Rebel fleet.
I mean, he's got a pretty stocked hand. There's no battle plan in this format. He's flipped. So Johnny's only activating 13. Well, I guess he's activating a little bit more with the drain.
Yeah, he gets
But
the
Jabba
+1
doesn't.
from Jabba.
No, we cancel before it goes through.
Yeah,
No,
and
you
Paul
still get it from Jabba.
And Paul, he decides to cancel the drain at the carbonate chamber and the audience chamber, but I believe Johnny's going to be able to drain for 3 now. Or no, he doesn't cancel the audience chamber or the carbonate chamber drain.
Yep.
He loses an X-wing cannon.
Yeah, so then he can just move. He can just drain it. Save the cancel for the last one. That's cool.
And there's a downtown plaza
Hoping that we would see that, so that will let him get his casinos back.
Oh, that's huge.
with Zuckus coming down.
So casino's back and an extra site now that pushes at least some damage back. And now when he loses, when he gets his Sabbath, he'll just retrieve everything.
Well, and once he's got those extra casinos, he can start tossing them to the drains and then retrieving one.
Right.
Which in most decks, those zeros are terrible, but in a Sabak deck, they're clone cards. So if you set it up right, 0-5 is still 11.
Right.
That's Star Wars math, everybody.
Yeah, it's 0 to clone the 5, and
0
then
to clone, then
+1 for
Lando
Lando.
makes it. Yeah.
Okay, John, current life force count is current life force and hand count is 38 for Johnny Chu, 29 for Paul.
So the big thing for Paul here is going to be after that rough start, even if he can't fully shut down what Johnny is doing, he needs to get the differential down as low as possible to give himself a good shot in game 2.
Yes, and unfortunately, because of that, we know that Paul has a -3 differential already due to a deck list error. So we had that issue in Timo versus
Luke's.
Luke. Yes, Sean's matchup, where Timo had to get by a deck list error as well.
And it killed me watching that match because there was turn 7 for Luke's. He could have just drawn up and won because of that differential difference, but he wasn't thinking about the match play.
Okay, there's another tunnel vision for Paul. I know, I think a lot of people are agreeing with you, Garrett. Everybody's looking forward to what the Chu family came up for light side.
See, and there's number 3.
Yeah, the light deck's a little more traditional.
I mean, Hidden Base has such an overwhelming presence here.
And there goes Vader and Das Pure, both off the top, and there's the Sabak. And I don't think there's a grabber from Paul.
If
No,
there was,
it feels like there was only the one grabber.
yeah, if there the signal.
You get some ships, maybe.
Yep, he's
Yeah.
going to steal a ship.
Yeah. That's 11. It's a Y-wing, I imagine. You can put a pilot on it, probably. Maybe not.
I mean, 6 one, half dozen the other.
I think you want to go with the, why not go just with the X-Wing?
Well, so at this point, Johnny just wants a ship to get up there and probe. Like, I don't know, I haven't seen any
Yeah.
space from so far, so I don't know if he's running a really light space package or he was planning to steal ships to do the probing with. But the faster Johnny can probe, the faster he closes this game out.
Yeah, if he probes, I feel like it easily just then it's just about diff. The game's just actually over. I think if he doesn't probe, he can retrieve his casino, but it still takes a little bit of time to get it back,
And Hidden Base screws with that.
yeah,
So that's going to be
Poke
slowing him
around.
down. Because
closing around.
even if he's counting for where the casino came in, he also has to hope that it's going to drop in the right order for him to be able to pay 1 and draw it.
Okay, and
Well,
there's
you just need to have one odd numbered card.
there's a Rebel fleet, so now Paul is going to be canceling 3 of Johnny's drains, so Johnny's only going to be doing 1 damage.
Yep.
As
Well,
you-
plus the Sabak damage.
True.
Yeah,
Paul
this
hasn't
is
set up
smart
a
by
perfect.
Paul, though. Just like get it. Yeah, he hasn't set up his perfect. Just get his speed up his damage. It's Paul's best chance to win the game, but it's also a good line in the sense of really all parts.
Yeah, the not setting up the perfect is interesting. So for the people who don't know, perfect Sabak would be 2 cards that equal 11. You're going for blackjack, but it also means that both of your opponent's cards are either stolen or lost. So it ups
Yeah,
the
you
damage
get
from
both of them.
Sabak from 1 a turn to 4, or from basically 2 every set to 4 every set, every pair of turns.
Okay.
And that adds up really fast. It's like eating 2 Visages a turn, or Visage and Search and Destroy.
Whoa, search and destroy is not legal. Let's chill out for the people, for the fans of this format that don't want to see the future. They haven't actually looked at the full spoiler for Death Star 2. Chill out, Ian. Slow down.
And we have another scanning crew. Johnny's checking out and seeing what's in Paul's hand here. Won't hit a Rebel, though. Speaking of spoilers, this Wednesday, we're going to have a special Holo Theater episode with Chris Kelly and Chris Schoenthal hosting, as I believe they're revealing the rest of the Set 21 spoilers. So make sure you guys tune into that.
Set 21, and hopefully a visual spoiler for the brand new Endor expansion set coming out this summer.
Oh,
Drain of 2 at the Downtown Plaza gets canceled. Drain of 1 at the Audience Chamber will cancel with the Rebel Fleet. Drain of 3 at the Interrogation Room also canceled because of the objective.
he's got one saved, so he may be thinking about surprise assaulting the Ugnaught.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that's the debate right there. We're sitting on it thinking about it. Or it could be worse, possibly.
Nope, he'll lose Haven.
But I did see at least one surprise assault in there, and if you get a good Destiny on that on the Ugnaught, it's 4 force and cancels out the drain, so it's a 5 swing. Or 4 swing, I guess, because you throw the surprise assault.
Jared in the chat points out that there was a Timo tried to put in a search and destroy against hidden base, hence his deck list error.
That's because there's a reason search and destroy came about. Like you're looking at it right here.
Jonny does retrieve a casino with the Downtown Plaza.
So now he's setting up the perfect, I think, because he's pulling a shocking. Or at least he's looking for it. No, he got it.
No, he did miss it because Paul was able to verify.
I'll verify.
Oh, yep. And the thing with that is that unless the light side would be running like an Omnibox, or what is it, this shuffle, once you get that 11 stat there, you just, and he's activating 15, so he's activating enough to activate his deck, he can hit that every single turn.
And
Whoa.
here we go. Vader's personal shuttle with Darth Vader going down to Korlag.
Wow.
Jonny probes. And
Ooh.
gets it.
Wow.
Wow. Right off the bat.
So this is a bad habit people have.
You play
If you
there
look,
first.
Korlag is the only system that you least want to go to because it's the drain of 1. So it's the one system up there that you have the least investment to actually go hit.
I also think it was the first one that he played.
That's another way to look at it. Those are like the two things I try and look for. Or when they stop top decking, like even if it's not the first one, or when they start top decking.
I think like in a deck where like you're Sabicing and you can like make people lose random cards, like a Hunt Down or a deck with Sabic, it was probably I think the drain minus thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you do it before the game anyway, so that's another factor. And I think both probably led it to being 4 lag.
So if you're playing against hidden base, there's some tips at picking out your opponent's hidden base.
But that's actually huge because Jonny was down to 1 card in hand and he would have went up to 3, but now he gets to actually draw for the 1 draw and his 1 draw.
Well, that's the other thing is that with only the 1 ship out there and the 1 card in hand, if he hadn't hit it on the first try, it could have taken him 2 or 3 full turns to actually probe it out.
Right.
Which would be a lot of damage going through and a lot of time of him not pulling cards up he needs.
Now, I do think, given the life force counts for both players, like I wonder if this turn, if you want to drain 1 more turn and draw up. I think at this point Johnny's definitely 1.
I would wait for the casino to hit the table.
Yeah, just wait and then draw. But I don't know.
Well, so I mean, it's not like you're waiting for an Abyssin or something. Sabak is a grind deck, so he's only going to be retrieving 2 a turn right now. Paul is doing 3, 4, 5, 6 a turn. So
he's only doing 5.
3 off Castle. Oh, resistance.
Just the resistance. Yeah, I think. I also another option is just to not save any force. in your reserve deck as an answer to Savick.
Right.
Yeah,
I
because
don't like leaving 2 there. I mean, unless that's an 11. Well, that's I guess it's possible that it's an 11. He does
It
have
would be,
traffic control. That would be
he
an
he
interesting.
did utilize the traffic control last turn.
It should be either an 11 or he should activate all of them.
yep.
Or it's a bluff that it's an 11, which is cute.
Oh, no, he's going to pull the rest of it, or he's going to pull those 2 cards up with how did we get in this mess?
Okay.
But that's interesting that he did it there as opposed to
Yeah,
earlier,
like,
since he's
you
going to
have
put his
those
hand down.
cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Unless those 2 cards are like something he knows he needs to, but he can't battle anything because he's got no destiny at this point.
Well, what he can do is he can do the if somehow the game got chaotic and he just had to use and the traffic control didn't work, he
That's
can
the
use
other
how
good
do we
thing
get
about
into this mess to get an 11 the other way.
right. Because you do
But at
pick the
this
order the cards
point,
go
I'm
down.
not sure Johnny needs to play Savick.
I mean,
He's
Johnny's
doing 1, 2, 3, 4. He's doing 1, 2, 3, 4,
8.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
The drain of 3. Is that a drain of 3 at the? Okay, all right.
But like you said, he's got no destiny here.
He's
So
got no
what is
destiny.
Luke doing?
All right. This. So was that one of the 2 cards? It was one of the 2 cards.
Yeah, because that's all he had.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem that great though. Like.
I don't know why he wouldn't have waited a turn to go drop down on him and actually punch him. Why are you doing?
Yeah, like. It's
So
hoping that he doesn't have anything in hand, but it's not that great. I mean,
well, so here's the
I guess he
thing.
has the scanning cruise. You can't really wait. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, the move though that he just did with putting the Red Squadron X-wing over there. So Vader in the shuttle, Gold Squad or Gold Leader and Gold 1 should still get a destiny because he gets one regardless.
And Johnny hits 2 Gold Squadron Y-wings with his Monarch. That gets rid of all the ships in Paul's hand, so he's not going to be able to cancel any drains this turn.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah, you're right, Ian, about the
So if
drawing
he'd
of
have put
body.
them over there, I assume he wants to hyper escape out. But honestly, getting Vader in that shuttle gone is, if he battles, you draw anything but a 0. He's got to throw either Vader or the shuttle. And if the shuttle's left there all on its own, you can go try and hit it and do some overflow.
Yeah, I agree. Although he's down to what, 2 cards?
Right?
Yeah.
And here it's kind of like if he has the casino, Zuckus can just go there if he's really worried about it. If he has another guy, he can.
Oh, that's the other thing. I wasn't thinking about where Lando actually is, but it would take Lando a couple turns to even get to the casino.
Yeah, I was thinking about that a few turns ago, but he was so force choked. Did he want to like flip flop the
Right.
Ugnaught and the Lando? But he hasn't had a huge hand. A few of the Monarchs, I was a little surprised that he shot off. Like not so much for the 4-4, like for the chance.
The first one was good.
The first one, obviously, you do, but like the mid-game ones where like Paul hadn't drawn that much, it was like, did you hit? I guess he was sort of trying to play around, maybe like a surprise assault or something. But I think just if Johnny had had a little bit more in hand, it might have been better for him. I mean, he's got 25 cards left, so.
Well, and I think the important part would have been getting the cards in hand before the flip, because there was at least one Monarch that he probably could have skipped, and that's 4 extra.
Yeah, just saving like 1, just having like a hand of 12 instead of a hand of like 7 that Johnny's had a lot of this game. Just having that full grip.
There's Boston Houndstooth going down to Kessel.
So, and that's the other reason why moving the Gold Squadron over in front of Vader as opposed to the Red Squadron one, because he's only got 1 force, so that's 1 hyper escape. So hopefully he's got a Hujix for the other one, because otherwise somebody is about to get blown out.
He didn't have the Hujix, so Boston Houndstooth is going to be doing a lot of damage here, regardless
Also,
if he
he's got
goes through
R2.
this path.
There's no
Yeah.
damage. R2's going to forfeit.
Yeah, he's got the
Yeah.
forfeit. but he's also losing that drain at Kessel.
Mm. Oh.
I
So-
hope he at least plays the game.
I mean,
Yeah.
it might not. I think his deck is. What did he play in the mainstream? Oh, I don't know what he submitted, but
Yeah. How
Okay.
should I think if they don't play it at all, we should talk to Jared about how that goes, because that's everybody else is showing their hand.
No, I mean
True.
that's not really something that you can marginalize. Like
There goes.
games are viewed as they're viewed as they are played out. Like
Well, right. What I'm saying though is that if they don't play at all,
yeah, and that's just is what it is.
And Jared is in the chat, so.
That's just the nature of like card playing on stuff like this when you've got sort of like a side, like if they want to do like full open deck list before the event, that's one thing, but like when you've got like coverage on like something that it's always been like that with like feature matches and stuff like that. Oh, you might play someone earlier and who's on a team, and some of the information's almost never like completely
right.
flat.
Jonny runs away from the Red Squadron X-Wing. He does say that getting Luke out was really big for Paul.
Yeah, because if Jonny doesn't have a Gick, Zuckus needs to get out of the way.
Mm-hmm. And Zuckus does run away.
So Paul is going to keep pushing some damage through.
Mm-hmm. Jonny draws up, saving no force in his force pile.
But this is also part of why dropping the Luke there that turn, maybe not, because had he been able to drop the Luke on, say, Lando right now.
Saving one's smart, right? Wait, you can still Savic with one.
Nope.
Right.
Need two. So, but
The saving
if he
one's
was
smart. Man.
if he was gonna Savic, he'd have done it earlier. So I always, when I'm doing Savic,
Yeah.
I wait for my opponent to or say action at 2 or whatever it is on
Yeah,
game.
right.
Johnny's drained for 2 at the downtown
There goes
plaza.
Tifix, but yes, he did just flip early.
Again, Johnny's losing 5 force this turn. There goes one Sawback.
Yeah, Paul is definitely grinding him down.
Yeah, like this is gonna be a relatively close outcome.
It's
Without the
certainly a lot closer than I
casino,
expected.
without the casino, if he has a ship, he can kill boss, and then he can like move Gold Leader over to Vader.
You think that's what he saved the 1 force for?
Getting the Luke out was really big. I mean, he's got a ground drain
Mm-hmm.
that's basically now it's reversed to ground drain of 2.
Yeah.
You wonder if he's got like if he had like an Obi-Wan right here. I mean, he probably doesn't, based upon
If he's got one, it's in
scanning
his
for
force
his,
file.
yeah, exactly. But like, imagine if he had an Obi-Wan in front of Lando. I mean,
Well,
Right.
I was going to ask, do you think if you're Paul and you said you had a ship, you could go down and fight Bosk? Would you rather save the ship for the Rebel fleet or try and fight Bosk off?
See, what I'd have done here is I'd have sent Red Leader over in front of Vader to get my Destiny, sent
Yeah.
the Spiral up to go sit with the Gold Squadron Y-Wing, because at that
Yeah.
point you outpower Bosk and you get a
Yeah.
Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Bosk isn't going to fight you like that.
right. I think I would have done the same. Yeah, he's not totally using his Oh, he drew a lot of cards.
Yeah, Paul's sitting at 10 cards in his hand. And he did save 2, so
He was probably looking for that Obi.
That I don't know about that one, not Paul.
and Johnny does win. There goes an out of commission to the lost pile.
The
Now
link
he
for this
gets
is
no destinies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He gets no destinies, and honestly, like, well, I suppose you have a bunch of used interrupts, but like, it's almost like you could move Zuckus as a react next turn if he doesn't
Right.
do that.
Yeah, unless he throws an out of commission or something right now.
Right.
And I think Paul's going to wait and see what Johnny does here to put any cards back into his used pile.
I think Paul, I think maybe should have moved.
No, you can't. You're trying to savak. Oh no, I guess not. No, he's trying to draw Destiny on both of these fights because there's only one hyper escape.
Okay.
I would have moved Luke, I think, as well.
I don't know that drain because you're looking for grinding down the differential at this point.
You're right. Yeah.
And if he fights Zuckuss and the Ugnaught,
Luke dies, and maybe the Ugnaught. Well, everything dies.
Yeah, I mean, even if he clears the site, though, like he's canceling out a drain of 1.
Yeah.
And he does take the drain of 3 at the interrogation room.
Oh, that was probably what he was looking for. Is he was drawing up for something to throw on Rebel Fleet.
And we have Jared in the chat
That
saying
makes
that
sense.
we're going to have a giveaway.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's the other thing. So I was assuming he didn't play Wise Advice. As soon as he saw CCT, you throw Wise Advice out there so that you can throw the free grabber.
Oh, he had
CC
Wise Advice. He lost.
Yeah,
Wise
he
Advice?
just
That was bad.
threw it. So I'd have started that instead of Do or Do Not so that you've got that free grabber. Because in this format, I don't know anything that runs CCT other than a manipulator.
Yeah. Right.
Johnny putting some cards back.
You wouldn't be playing the Wise Advice for the sack protection necessarily, although against Johnny's deck you actually would have gotten some use out of it.
Johnny does initiate at Kessel, drawing a 3.
Paul's gonna be able to get another turn of damage in and then probably die.
I think if you're Johnny, I mean, why wouldn't you not? I was going to say you want to maybe fight with Vader and then move Zuckuss over because he can't swing and hit Zuckuss. All he can do is just draw Destiny.
And that's the problem that drawing up all those cards did. If he'd have had the Destinies down there to be able to bring the pain to Zuckuss, then you keep the damage going through and possibly get to.
Yeah, now it's it's 2 cards and Johnny's got 3 in hand. So Johnny's looking at a win by 18, 19.
But I mean, that's rough, but it's doable.
I mean, unfortunately, it's like minus 21.
But I mean, even minus 21, I won my first game by 30. Like, my deck is not a retrieval deck. It's hidden base X-Wings.
True.
Things just happen to go well for me.
And Johnny's going to lose. He loses 1 card from his hand to the drain at Corlac. He loses Sawback to the drain at Yavin 4.
Oh, okay. So this is interesting because this means he's going to try and get out another turn.
Mm-hmm. Maybe try and draw up a ship to cancel that drain to 3, so that way you can do some more damage.
Well, what I'm wondering here is how many cards he puts back.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 4.
When you put back just 1. Oh,
okay.
So why?
That makes no sense.
So this is where you put that on that X-Wing over there that can't draw Destiny on its own. But that's a good play. He can't stick it on Vader, so he's only the one that he can stick it on is the Boss Busk.
Mm-hmm.
Landing Claw in Hidden Base is a weird one. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
I mean, Landing Claw in general is a weird card.
Well, yeah, but I mean, usually it's meant for decks that don't have space to like,
Right.
Yeah.
not in all space.
Yeah, it's what you throw in your token space. So yeah, he did only drop one down there so that he can draw Destiny in one of the 3 fights that Chu can start this turn.
I mean, his
I guess
hand is
two
what?
once he-
Hyper Escape, and then like, but he's gonna lose all the cards from this game.
Yeah.
Like,
And then, yeah, he's going to only have 1 card left.
and like Johnny's gonna win this game most likely by 17, right? Like he's gonna lose the 2 cards next turn. Paul's not getting a second round of drains.
Right.
So literally, if Johnny just says nothing happens right here, and says, "Okay, I'm draining for 5,
Your turn.
your turn," and Paul actually draining for 5 is the game, right?
No.
He's,
He already
well,
lost
'cause
one.
the drains have already started.
Oh, he already lost one. Okay, yeah. So and then he loses a 2 from hand, and then he wins by 17.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
But if he had done that swap up I was talking about earlier with either red leader or gold leader against Vader and switching up who was fighting boss, he probably would have gotten through, at least in the
yeah,
three-
and then he would have had some drains. Yeah, the fact that his damage just went to like a real screeching halt, was pretty bad. Like, it's not gonna do that.
Why?
Yeah. That's what I'm wondering, because it's like you're giving up a force for yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's decreasing his differential at this point.
Yeah.
Unless, oh no, so he's gonna
Move Vader in front of one of the other ones.
Right.
Yeah. But even so, like,
Actually, yeah, because the problem is that Zuckuss doesn't forfeit for much, and Luke is a 5 versus a 2. So
Yeah, like theoretically, if Paul had like three,
really,
five,
Paul's
like
got
three,
what he.
like 3 out of commissions or something,
yeah.
but
Well,
Sabbath
no.
gets in the way of that too.
So Paul's actually got what he needs to possibly do some overflow on Zuckuss because he's got 1 force to battle and 1 to draw Destiny with Luke next turn.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Johnny initiated the drain at the interrogation room. Or the drain at the carbonite chamber.
I wonder if he was worried about a surprise assault.
That could be.
I can't think of any other reason why he
That's
wouldn't.
sort
Yeah.
of interesting. Like you're not really in a rush. You grind out something slowly. Interrogation room seems worth it to drain now. You're losing what, 4 cards?
Right. Even if he surprise assaults you, you lose a couple. If he doesn't have the surprise assault, you're pushing a drain of 3 through.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking of how to die.
So, if it were me, I would hope that he leaves me Zuckuss. On my turn, I'll put my 2 drains through, battle Zuckuss.
Yeah, hope to
hopefully
draw
overflow him.
5. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you push a
Make him
couple.
lose like 4 force. I mean, he can also just move away. But then
So
it's
that's
2
what I'm
damage. Yeah.
Yeah. So either he leaves me Zuckuss to pound on, or he moves out of the way, and I get an extra couple points of drain through.
Unless, of course, that 1 card in Johnny's hand is projected telepathy.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That would be awesome. That would burn so badly. I would have to send Paul a beer after that. Yeah, so
I was gonna
think
say,
he's
you wanna-
try-
You got to go to Tatooine, so that way you still push some, that extra damage through.
but that also means there's a 5 sitting on there.
Yeah.
So now Johnny needs to. If Johnny doesn't have a Spock in hand,
Yeah, I just drop a Sabak, but that's weird because the drawing up is like almost.
right, and so that's
Is the
where you
damage.
come into debate
Yeah.
now. Like, does he just get Zuckuss out of the way and take the hit, or does he go looking for Sabak to?
Moves
Yeah,
Landa
he might as
over.
well.
I guess if he leaves Zuckus and takes some overflow, he could theoretically just retrieve it with land ducks, and that would mean that Paul can't like draw up.
Yeah, but if Johnny picks up a bunch of cards here looking for something, if I'm Paul, I just scoop the 3 and call it good.
Yeah,
Hmm.
sure. I mean, you have to imagine that Johnny's hand is not a Sabak.
Okay.
Right, and so he's picking up.
Yeah, he does draw 1. Puts 1 back though.
The one thing I'm not seeing from Johnny's deck that I feel like is just an absolutely critical card for any sort of mage player is defensive fire. It is so disruptive, and it gives you an alternative for if they are running scrambled and shocking rev or shocking information, whatever it is.
Yep.
Johnny does draw 2 cards, so I'm thinking, yep, there's
Yep.
the Sabak.
Yeah, so not even risking it, but he's only got the 13, 14 cards, 15 cards. It's a projective Zuckus. So he makes him lose 1, and he's going to lose 2 more force.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to win by 14.
15. 15.
And yeah, the setback goes back, so 15.
Yeah.
Sixteen.
It's a little bit better than he was looking at before.
Yeah.
And I mean, 3 is the
And
average.
Paul
They're not all
can't draw
3.
up.
Well, no. So at this point, Paul should initiate battle with Luke at Zuckus. Best case, Zuckus draws low, and he's at least got to get off the table.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe you get a little bit more through there if he really is worried about like a surprise assault from your hand.
He wouldn't be. I mean, he wouldn't be worried about surprise assault when you're just scanning crude by
Right.
1 land.
Okay, so Johnny saves 1 card in his hand, so he's down to 15.
But Paul needs to lose this turn because otherwise Johnny's going to move Lando over and retrieve
Mm-hmm.
3, and that's not good.
So maybe battle Vader and then lose it off the top.
Nope.
Yeah, Vader's just not going to draw any destiny if he does that.
Okay, Johnny does put 1 back,
Just
upping his
decline.
differential to 16.
It's actually weird. Like Johnny can,
Choose not to drain. I mean,
yeah, not to drain and just get Lando over there and do it and just get 2 Sabex.
oh no, he can't. There's only 1 card he can't place that.
Oh, he can't play
Yep.
Sabex on. All right.
Yeah, so just drain him out.
There you go. And win by 16. I think you just do that.
But again, that is significantly better of a spot for Paul going into game 2 than I thought he was going to be in 4 turns into the game.
Yeah,
Wait, he's only draining for 3.
Yep.
So, and Paul has 4 cards left.
But so this is also something that I've seen people do a lot, and I feel very strongly about not doing is even if you've got to flip fast, you've got to get your drain systems on the table for hidden base because it's too easy
Yeah.
when you're only running 1 good drain system like Kessel for you to get shut out.
so I do like Johnny battling with like Vader here. Oh, there's a surprise assault.
There it is.
5.
Yeah, but why did he do
You
that
do it there.
there as opposed to on Jabba?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Or actually, at that point, get Luke over to the darn casino and let him do it with Zuckus.
Yeah, that would have been good. Would have stopped the train.
And I think Paul's just going to maybe take the drain at Kessel and then lose the 1 from his life force here. I mean, Johnny did just retrieve a casino.
Yep.
So he's back up to 16, and he will initiate against the Red Squadron X-Wing. Draws a 4.
How was the game? Win?
So actually, Paul's going to get. Oh no, just enough. Oh, he's got a.
No, he loses from the hand. I don't
So-
like that because now Johnny can move the Bosk and Gold Leader over, block those 2 drains. He's not going to lose anything.
I mean, it's done. At that point, Paul's just going to draw up.
Yeah. I mean, but why not just lose the...
Oh
The
no,
force.
he didn't. So he's
Yeah,
going
he
to get to do
doesn't.
drain of 1.
A building machine.
Yeah.
Has he?
That...
Did tell me if Henry can have one or not?
Oh, okay. Good catch, Bill. The claw would
But when
unattach,
you
so
want
it's still a
it,
drain of 1.
Don't try it. No, wait for it.
No. If he'd have put Bosk and Bus in front of Spiral, there would have been no drain.
No, he still has the drain of... there's the attached chip on the Boskin bus. Okay, so he does initiate.
Right.
And he'll lose. So Johnny is going to win this one by 15. So it's essentially plus 18.
It'll be interesting to see how this next game goes.
Yes.
If Paul is running something like Hunt Down, that may be hard to get unless he gets a good bout.
Yeah. Okay, so Johnny has left the room. We'll hop back into our main room, and then in the meantime, we do have a giveaway. We have a trivia question. The question is going to be, so the first player in the chat who can name all the copies of Sawback will win one of the 4 final packs of the PC Cork coasters. Light side and dark side count as 1 card. So the first person in the chat who can name me all the Sawback cards. We got...
I assume I'm not allowed, right?
Correct.
Because I can actually do that.
Fortunately, I can't. Okay, so let's see. Trooper, Cloud City, Jabba's Palace. Garrett did not win.
Nope.
Cloud City, Light Side, Dark Side, Dune Sea, Trooper, Jabba's Palace. Bastion for the win.
That should be it, yeah.
Yeah, no, Bill got it first. And Jets Are Dim. Not sure who Jets Are Dim is. But we do have a little bit of a break really quick. That's fair. But congrats to Bill Kafer on your victory. And let's see. You know what? Let's do one more. Bill, you are ineligible to win this one.
Oh, thanks, Jared. I see that comment now. I wasn't watching the stream chat.
First person in the chat will win a special prize by me to name what the wild cards, the clone cards, and the stakes are for Trooper Sabak. And it looks like Johnny and Paul are back. So we'll go ahead and bring up our main table. Bill's like, I'm glad I got the easy one. Really, Bill? Okay, so Jonny does put up the table. Have our players switch sides.
I can't actually reply to Jared in there. Oh, fine, be that way.
Okay, and here we go. Our table is ready. Jonny on light side, Paul on dark side. So we got Hunt down.
So with Torch, though, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're looking at a stereotypical Hunt down.
Versus Alderaan Operatives. And we do have an epic duel. Okay. Both players going with the Signal and Twilight Advisor.
That's the only. Well, I guess Jonny could have started whatever the light side version of Service Defense is. What is that?
Jets are dim. You win. So, yep, you named all the requirements, including you gave me all the things I asked for, including the requirements. So good on you. We got Bad Feeling Have I and Yarna Dal Gargan.
Yarna is there to protect his operatives. And I can't remember if it's going to protect his snow speeders. I'm assuming this is a speeder version. Yes, it does protect the speeders also. So with him starting Yarna, likely from Chew, we are going to see operatives and rebel speeders. Would be my guess.
There's a presence of the Force on the farm. Okay,
That's an interesting play.
And he'll just draw up a few cards, and there's our first Visage Ping. Jonny loses Restraining Bolt. Paul loses a Monarch.
So that's an interesting choice. The Yarna protects your characters and your ships, but with a lot of these decks, the stuff that it's not protecting is actually the stuff that you really want to nail with the Monarch, the interrupts and effects.
So any surprises, deck choices by either players?
Hunt down, it's too early to tell. Light side operatives is really strong also. It's not quite as meta breaking as dark side is, though, because it doesn't shut down Hidden Base, which is basically the biggest light side deck in this format.
And you called it. There's some Rebel Snow Speeders coming down.
So that operative is a passenger on there, because his stuff works just by being there. So putting an operative on the snow speeder like that protects him from getting lightsabered. So he's going to have his full forfeit because you can't hit the speeder.
I mean, the speeder's only forfeit 2, though.
Right now. But that operative, once he flips, is forfeit 5, I think. But what Jonny's going to be running is he's going to have maneuvering flaps in there. He will likely have probably 2 copies of maneuvering flaps and several copies of the signal. And what he's going to be looking to do is get that on the table, because at that point, these crappy little Rebel snow speeders end up being power 4 and forfeit 4.
Okay. And we have Paul losing Grand Moff Tarkin, and Jonny loses It's a Trap. There's Vader coming down with the lightsaber. And a Grand Moff Tarkin joining the fun. So he's starting to get a drain of 4 next turn.
So that's why he threw the presence there. That's actually a really interesting move, and I think a very good one for him. Because this early in the game, without being flipped, it's unlikely that the operative deck can actually contest Vader and GMT. Even if he's got, like an EPP Luke or Obi in his hand with that bad feeling, he can't get them both down there, and just one of them is just going to get shoved off. And now he's going to alter that.
Wow.
Which really makes me question him throwing that Monarch earlier, because with that off the table, he could then Monarch and wipe out his hand.
And he draws a Vader for Destiny, so it is going to go lost.
So that could be huge. If he's got more Monarchs in there, that could end up being absolutely huge.
And there's a projected telepathy to make Jonny use to or cancel the drain, and he will cancel the drain.
It's a drain of 1 at this point. It's not worth it. He needs cards, and he needs to deploy his stuff. He's got to get flipped as quickly as he can. Oh, I guess it is drain of 2 at the operative, because that's not part of flipping. I always forget that.
And so just
Yeah, I feel like I would have drained just for the diff. Sorry, I had to run out for a bit.
Yeah, no, at 2, it's worth it. I was thinking at 1, you want the cards more, but at 2, yeah, you might as well.
4 damage and Visage. I mean, it's a lot going on. You need like a bargaining table. But being flipped, Alter just... Yeah, I think you just got to go as wide as possible.
And Jonny does flip.
So that's going to -1 the drain that Vader and them are doing, and we'll also start letting him retrieve with the operatives.
So that's pretty big. You can draw hands 7, maybe 8.
And now Jonny on the reverse is threatening a lot of damage through.
Yep. Well, so right now it's going to be 5 for Paul and 6 for Jonny.
Jonny loses Dagobah off the top of his deck.
So that is in there for anti-operatives tech. So he's actually planning to deal with other operatives decks. So he's got Dagobah in there for Planet It's Furthest From.
There goes a Rebel Snowspeeder, Caller, and a Thorian off the top. So what other characters do you expect Paul to have to come down and deal with those operatives?
Slim pickings.
Yeah, so he's probably going to be throwing like Blizzard 2 with somebody on it. It's going to depend a lot on how his deck is set up. So with a dueling deck, you don't usually have a lot of characters if it's a stereotypical dueling deck, because you're trying to keep your average Destiny high.
Okay.
But you can also just throw Epic Duel down there either to bluff or for late game, because just it being on the table makes EPPs really think about whether or not they want to come fight you, because coming down and possibly getting circled is a big deal.
And being that like the forest is 3 sites away from Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin, you almost have to think that Jonny is feeling kind of safe, maybe with an EPP there, being that they're fully immune.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's not really any reason for that. So with the operative deck, you just throw the speeders and the operatives out there, because Destiny in every location. You can't have your forfeit reduced to 0, so they've really got to overflow you by a lot, because with the operative and the speeder, especially once maneuvering flaps gets down there, you've got 9 forfeit on the table that can't be reduced.
Okay.
I think I would have stayed at the farm.
Yeah, I'm wondering why he moved over.
And looks like Paul lost 2 Darth Vader with lightsabers, as well as a Jabba space cruiser and Tatooine Jabba's palace.
So I think that means there are 2 Vaders in that 7 cards. So right now, Paul is going to be sitting there praying he doesn't see an out of commission.
I don't think so. If Vader dies, this game's not going to be a win by 20. Like, Vader gets out of commission, it's what it is. Like, Vader's not... This game is going to be about these 2 guys sitting there doing damage at like a counter assault or something getting beaten down in some way.
No, but losing the Vader pretty much closes the game if he can't play him again because the visage damage will kill him.
Yeah, but if he loses Vader, the game's over anyway. Like Johnny's doing 6 a turn. He's up 20 cards.
Mhm.
Yep.
Like that would the battle that took place would do stuff, and then he would have to do other cards to do stuff, and all of the things that are happening would
I see what you're
cause
saying.
the game to be like, okay, Paul wins by 15 if he plays another Vader, but that's not going to win the match.
And
The Peregrine's weird. I might not drain there from Johnny because that's now counter assault.
And we know that I was going to say I know that he's got like 3 callers in there, so I mean he should be able to start retrieving a lot with that bargain.
Yeah, I don't mind the Peregrine. I just think that maybe you wait till you have another speeder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one question I've got about the Bargwin is why the Bargwin is ass out in the open, because he's immune to attrition there, but you can drop a EPP Fet down there and shoot the Bargwin.
Sure.
He's a high priority target. Like, he's got to go. I also think that Paul isn't running very many characters because otherwise he would probably have pulled like Brangus or somebody into the audience chamber to set that ping of 1 up.
It's -1.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It would be -1 now.
Now it's still a drain of 0 there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
So,
just ugly. That's
I
why I
mean-
think stay at the farm.
Right.
Yeah, because right now Paul's doing essentially 2 damage with the Visage, but then Johnny's retrieving with the Bearguin. He's retrieving with the Objective.
This game's heading towards concession, I think.
Yeah.
He's
So
really
him
only
moving,
making him lose 3 a turn.
right, and he just moved back, heading back the other direction of the farm because he's realized that he should have stayed at the farm. But that's also probably why Johnny threw the docking bay in between there.
Yeah, because Johnny can just go back to the swamp, do 6 damage, retrieve a force, and then what's Paul do? Move to the farm, like.
Right.
And Johnny activates and then starts draining. There goes another Darth Vader.
So Paul is probably, as Justin said, looking for counter assaults here and looking to stack them up and hoping that Johnny gets a hit in his hand.
I mean, he's got his 15 cards in his hand.
Wow, no counter assault.
Yeah. And like you're saying, I think the Bargwin's the best one to go to.
Yeah, you draw 2.
Yep. Yeah, draw 2 at 3 with a deck like this, stack it up. You know, you could be throwing 9 force loss
Right.
at Johnny. And had he sat on the farm, that would have been another 6 through so far.
Mm-hmm.
6
Yeah,
or
so
8.
you're doing this start of presence for that reason, and you kind of gave it up.
He didn't. I don't think he started the presence because he had the. He started
No,
bad
he-
feeling high by.
Yeah, but he dropped the presence on the
Yeah.
turn 1. Because the thing is that from Johnny's side, honestly, it probably makes the most sense for him to play this really conservatively and not. Oh, that's gonna hurt. And not actually deploy EPPs anywhere near Vader because losing a duel could swing things really wrong for you on a game that you really just need to grind out very conservatively.
Mhm. And he puts another sight in between Vader and the farm, extending just the fact that Paul's not going to be able to do any real damage. Getting rid of Visage is really big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I mean,
game's over.
we're probably going to see a concede here shortly. Unless, but I mean,
Unless it's like Jabba and Boba Fett or something, and somehow answers like it's a trap that Johnny probably has.
Mm-hmm.
well, it's
no
trap.
counter. Has no counter.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say because we saw that Johnny lost it's a trap early to a vicious ping, so you have to assume that Paul's probably thinking he's playing multiple ones, which makes sense.
Well, and what's funny or crappy about this, depending on how you look at it, is that if this was dark side versus light side, or something that you don't have to worry about as light side operatives is beggar beatdown.
Mm-hmm.
With beggar and draw your fire, or draw their fire. Because the dark side can't do anything to your force pile to stop you.
Okay, that is a drain of 1 for Paul.
Put Jawa, get DRTORCH from reserve deck.
Yes. I remember those days. Doing that so that you could get your Ellis Hellrot past quite a mercenary.
Yeah,
they're
the
sitting
good
there
old
saving
days.
too.
You could also Jawa, DRTORCH, and Jawa pack, just in case you needed all of the combination.
And
Yep.
there's Jabba the Hutt coming down in front of the Bothan Spy.
Uh-oh.
So I would expect, even if there's not, it's a trap, I'd expect a Hujix and a barrier.
Yeah, I figured that Senso was going to be there. I don't think Jonny plays Hujix, but maybe I could be wrong. Boba
The
Fett and, like-
sense goes through.
Boba Fett could be interesting here.
So especially if Paul has first strike in hand, he might be able to do something to that Bothan.
That's not going to be enough to move the needle too much.
Nope.
Even if he draws like a 6 here, it's like, okay,
Well,
a
and
couple cards.
so
And then
at that
Jonny
point,
loses. Then Jonny does 6 more damage.
right. So at this point, I think I'd have not attacked the Bothan. Like if you can't, and there's a Hujix. But I mean, if you can't like really stick it to that Bothan,
Right.
you're better off looking for something where you can, drop EPP Boba on there and zero him out or something like that to actually try and, push it over.
And now the question is, do you think Johnny's going to drain at the forest this turn, like you're saying, with the risk of counter assault?
Why
I mean,
not? I mean, I don't know. He doesn't need to, so probably not.
I probably wouldn't. Visage is gone. I just do my 4, run away by 2 sites, and or you know what I might do is like play a speeder and put the. That doesn't work.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you just do the 4 because you're not in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're just not in a hurry. You just use the bot. You just use the Baragon to retrieve green cards. You can draw up a bunch.
And right now, Paul's just losing from his hand, especially because he's got a 13-card hand at this point.
I mean, at a certain point, what's in Paul's hand that matters? Like his hand's gonna be what? Like a few cards, like a you are beaten, a sniper. All these cards don't do anything.
Yep.
Twilix for effects that don't do much. Tortures that don't do much. His whole hand is just red cards and maybe a guy or 2 that don't really do anything.
Right.
Johnny,
And Paul's in a situation where he has to make risky plays because of the differential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I don't even know what he would do to win the game. Like just outright. Like it's relatively even force wise, but it's just he's just not doing any damage.
No, I mean, you really have to. He's really got to do some overflow somewhere.
There's just nowhere to actually do any damage.
Right.
And no counter assault, as he loses Presence of the Force and HoloNet transmission.
Yeah, I'm surprised he drained there. Unless he probably has the it's a hit, but with all the senses we've seen.
Yep. And that's another reason why starting surface defense with operatives against stuff like this, or like a light side Obi's Hut or TRM type start, or if you think it's hidden base running mains, it really there's almost no reason not to take the 3 effects.
And there's another Bargwin going down.
Let's see what the chat says. Ooh,
Yeah,
Authorium.
But that second Bard, when we're definitely pretty well done at this point.
Moves his Snowspeeder over in front with the Authorian and draws some cards.
Chat's
Yeah.
boring.
Again, Paul's only going to be doing 1 point of damage on this turn.
But at least he'll get back to the farm.
Ian, do you play the winner of this?
If the winner is DRTORCH. Otherwise, I play Dylan.
Oh, you're playing Dylan.
And Jonny loses caller, immediately retrieves it with the bargain. So
So the
Who's the
callers are
fourth-
just in
who's
there
the
for the
fourth person?
bargains. Or Justin, or is there something else I'm missing that the callers are going to be doing?
Let's see, caller.
Jared in the chat is saying not necessarily if the 8 seed wins tomorrow. We're still waiting on.
Oh, there's another match. Okay.
Yeah, we
Oh,
still
yeah, I
have
forgot.
Joe versus Thomas. So if Thomas wins, then you'll be playing Thomas. Otherwise, you'll be playing Timo. There we go. Ellis Halrot with draws a 0 for Destiny.
Oh, the callers are probably in for ISB
For Pro Droids?
for 5d6.
Oh, 5d6.
And tomorrow,
That's right.
As Jared just pointed out, we have another game tomorrow going on. Garrett.
Why would you move Vader? Why wouldn't you move Vader and Tarkin?
So I think Vader and Tarkin are heading back over to the farm to try and drain, so he's trying to just cut off some of the damage.
Doesn't seem that.
But
Jonny will get a Destiny with the objective. Paul draws a 6 for Destiny. It becomes a 5.
I think I'd have taken that the other direction and sent Vader and Tarkin over there because they're more likely to get some overflow through.
And
Yeah.
Jonny draws a 3 for Destiny. So, I mean, yeah, Johnny's.
14.
I mean, you gotta lose what? You lose the operative, and that's it?
Right, so if Vader and Tarkin went, you cancel that Destiny, your
Mhm.
6 would still have been a 6, so you'd have been a 14 to a 2.
Yeah.
And that's what Paul needs to do to win the game, is he's got to get some battles through like that where he actually does some overflow.
Agreed.
And Vader and Tarkin just continue to move towards the farm.
Where they were originally. They had never moved.
And unfortunately, Paul's at well under the threshold at this point, as he just draws cards up.
I mean, he has reactor terminal.
True.
Yep. Yeah, if he'd have stayed at the farm, this might actually be a very, very different game, because he'd have put through another...
just more pressure. Like, Visage might have never... Like, the Bothan Spy might have gotten lost because of the drain, and then Visage might have done 4 more damage. Jonny would probably have about 8 or 9 more damage. And if he had never lost to Monarch early on.
Yep. Yeah, because that was huge, because he altered the Yarna before the flip. So if he had thrown that alter and then Monarch the operatives away, we'd have never flipped.
100%. And, like, what is projective telepathy now? Like, on a 21 card force pile.
Now, that's only a drain of 1 as there's no operative there.
Yeah.
And
I think Paul's just sort of going through the motions now. I mean, he's draining for 3 because of that forehead.
there goes Vader, Vader, and Torture from hand.
So for all of the people constantly asking in chat what's wrong with operatives, this is operatives after errata and Decipher toning them way down. But decks like this are why we had bullets come through in the next 2 or 3 sets for operatives. Because we had hits for them in indoor, hits in DS2, and then No Escape and Unita also impact them.
Yep.
Jared in the chat points out, so if Jonny wins this and Joe, our 2 seed, wins tomorrow, they will face off against each other in top 4. Ian, you'll be playing Timo. If Thomas wins, it's Ian versus Thomas, and then Joe versus Timo.
Jonny versus Timo?
Yes, Jonny versus Timo.
Basically,
Joe?
you can't play Jonny now.
Joe,
Yeah,
do me a
definitely.
favor and tank that game. I would much rather let Jonny and Timo play each other.
But here's the thing though, like Johnny is playing these decks going forward, and you're doing commentary, so you know what he's playing. How do you feel about that?
I'd be watching the streams. Like, since they're streamed, I assume that everyone in the top 8 is watching all the streams. Either live or after the fact. Like, it would be very silly not to if you've got the opportunity.
I was going to say, Timo is currently probably sleeping, considering he lives over in Germany.
No, but he can watch the replays. Like, that's what I did with with his match. I wasn't able to watch it live, so I went back through and watched it. But if it had not been a situation like that, I would not have volunteered to Jared to do commentary, because otherwise that would have been kind of an unfair advantage.
That's right. Now, I will ask one question. So, going forward, that you have a possibility of playing Timo, like, what's your mindset?
What did Timo play?
Timo played Corlag Ops and Hidden Base.
Yes.
Standard.
So I'm not worried about his Hidden Base, because I also played Corlag Ops, and Corlag Ops really just smokes Hidden Base.
Okay.
My variation of Hidden Base has a much higher chance of winning against Corlag Ops than the stock deck that's in the samples, because of some variations that I've made. So, that's going to be a chance. But again, Corlag Ops really stomps on Hidden Base.
Okay.
It really does just shut it down. So I think a lot of the game with Timo is going to come down to who is able to do more damage with their light side, basically.
Okay.
Who's able to push more past the Corlag Ops.
And we did just see that Johnny initiated a fight. Unfortunately, he had to lose his Alderaan operative there in his own fight. And Paul didn't really do anything there. So he just lost he won the fight, actually, by drawing a 4. So, and Ian, did you play in the last retro tournament?
I don't think so. I'm in the league, but I think that I just found the stuff recently.
Okay.
I have some memory issues, so I don't know about that far back. It's actually really funny. So part of why I only play retro and not open is because learning the new cards would be hard, but I actually remember most of the cards from 20 years ago.
That makes sense.
So
yeah, last year's retro was what? It was
Premiere to Death Star 2, I believe, because I think
was it?
Jared.
Yeah, I know it was. It was the
Yeah.
boy. Yeah.
Because I know there's
Johnny, Steve, and Casey in top 4.
Yeah. Now, going forward, like, which retro format do you guys like? Do you like the Premiere to Death Star 2? Do you prefer DCO?
And I think Premiere Death Star 2 is great, but it's just been done a ton. I think Premiere to Endor would be cool.
Premiere to Endor.
Jared in the chat was saying DCO was 2022. Premiere Death Star 2 was 2021.
So what did we do last year?
DCO? So
What's that?
Decipher cards only, I think is what that stands for.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And that was, I remember, because that was never a format.
Yeah, because that would be what, all the way through Theed, right?
Reflections 3. Oh, no, Thee, because Thee came after Reflections 3.
But that was literally a format where there was never a tournament for.
Yeah.
Right. Because by the time Theed came out, Decipher had lost the license, and to be
Well, no,
perfectly
they
honest,
had,
Theed is
so the history of it is Freedom Con was 2001, and that was the tournament where where Maul and Qui-Gon were legal because they had the promos, but the Theed cards weren't, and that was like, oh, we're gonna have this final tournament, Bastion. I was there too, and like Bastion won, and then that winter it was like Lord of the Rings movie was coming out, Lord of the Rings game was coming out, Decipher had lost the license. Okay, cool. The players' committee is getting developed, but what happened in the winter of 2002, like January, February, was that the players' committee took over, but then started with Virtual Set 1, and we actually had some really cool events. We had like DPCs that were like, actually, we were like, wow, there's still 50, 60 people playing. This is great. Like, it's Clint's there and Johnny's there, and some of these people are sticking around. This is Brian Hunter. But that was with virtual cards. So Decipher cards only really was never played, which is crazy to think that like it was never. And I remember thinking like, oh, let's just like play the Senate Hovercam because it's like the most powerful card that was
Mhm.
Decipher. It was,
Okay, we do have a fight from Paul. He did drop Boba Fett with blaster rifle, initiated, shot the Bargwin, and cleared the site. So,
And see, but this is where we come back to if he'd have stayed at the farm,
mhm.
stay at the farm. Maybe this game's different.
because at this point his differential is
19.
right. If he'd have stayed at the farm before, I mean that's I think we're looking at 10 additional damage. We're looking at less cards on the table for.
I think if he had stayed at the farm, Johnny's in for a sweat, but wins a nail biter. I think if he had stayed at the farm, didn't lose Monhawk, he probably wins the match.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think
If he hadn't lost Monarch, yeah, I think so, because he'd have never flipped.
Because if instead of playing Tarkin, if he had just Monarch on turn 2, if he
Yep.
goes Vader, Alter, Monarch, it's like oof.
That's game ending.
Because I think it was like double Rebel Snowspeeder, double
Right.
Operative on turn 2.
Yeah.
So it's 4 cards, and you're not playing any speeders or like and then you're draining at the farm.
Right.
And
You,
just
you've
sitting
gotten
there
all of his
backing it up
spears
with
out of his
Tarkin.
hands, and he might have gotten both Bargwins because
Right. Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't know what other cards were there. Like,
Yeah.
it was randomly like a second barrier or something like that. Like,
And Johnny is draining, hitting Paul, I believe, for 7 this turn.
yeah, 3,
So-
2, 2.
Paul currently sitting at
I mean, this one's
12,
over now. So Johnny
and-
wins, Ian wins, Dylan won, and then we have another match tomorrow. Is that what it is?
Mhm. Joe versus Thomas in our 2 versus 8 match.
And but no one knows what those decks are.
Well, I do, but I can't say yet because
Well, Jared also knows, but he's not gonna say it.
Like people might know, like teammate wise, but they haven't been like
Yeah.
revealed. Or
yeah. So Joe and I actually do a lot of playtesting together. So I'm really glad that we're sitting 1 and 2. So if we face each other, it's in the final, because we did a ton of playing with each other, working on decks and stuff for this. So it would suck to knock one or the other out early.
Johnny just dropping 2 more snow speeders and 2 more operatives, allowing him to retrieve 2 more cards.
I thought about playing this. I didn't register in time, and it just sort of slipped away. I was originally playing a few games. I had a deck that I liked.
What were you running?
Playing Hidden Base with like a bunch of organized attacks. I started Haven, and I just dumped everything turn 1. I played 0 X-Wings, and then I played Baragwins and Ishi Tibbs and Surprise Assault. And that was just... I had 4 Y-Wings. I had the 3 Gold Squad. I played 4 Gold Squadron Y-Wings and 2 Gold Leader Gold Ones. And basically just grinded out games, and if you played against ISB, you just need to click fast, and they'd lose on time.
And there goes 2 Alderaan operatives out of Johnny's hand.
I actually thought about doing something like that off of Mind What You Have Learned with, basically Yoda, a couple of EPPs, and then you just run a crap load of High Destinies and Surprise Assaults.
Yeah, I didn't flip. I literally drained for 1
Right.
at Tatooine, and I had Dagobah and Yoda's hut, and I had planets farthest from, and I didn't flip, and it was just Surprise Assaults, and I think I had like 1 stone pile, just a bunch of random stuff to annoy people.
So I like the Mind What You Have Learned with that, because then you can throw Uncontrollable Fury down on Vader, because we're still pre-Lord Vader here. So Uncontrollable Fury with Yoda on the table, especially if there's no chance of Vader ever battling somebody. I mean, that's
Yeah,
basically
I won all my games against like mains decks because they just never did anything, and you would just drain for 1 and retrieve everything.
And he does move.
I did have 2 systems for a coward.
Paul moves over to block 2 drains. Still facing down, drains of 7 on this next turn. He's got 11 cards left in Life Force in hand. So I think Johnny's going to drain and probably draw up here.
yeah. So this
Johnny
is
might
why
just try to win too.
the big differential matters for that first game, because at this point Johnny is able to just throw out all of this crap to try and close the game out fast, because he knows the target he's going for. He's got it.
Yeah, he's gonna win the match. He's gonna win the game.
Yeah, that was actually part of my selection process yesterday.
Yeah, you called it, Justin. He's going to win the game.
Yep. But I went with my light side first because I expected it to come with a larger differential if I won it. And so that way, my opponent is coming into the game against my dark side having to play more aggressively and risky, whereas I get to slow roll on a deck that is meant to run fast.
And Paul does offer up the GG in the chat. He's going to lose 1 to the Visage here as he loses from his hand.
And these are the only two, I believe, I could be wrong, I apologize if people have, but the only two world's top 8 competitors in the top 8 of this. Is that true? I'd
Yep.
imagine.
Yeah.
Paul has 4 and Johnny's got 11 or 12.
Again, tomorrow we do have a game against. We have Joe, our number 2 seed, versus Thomas, our number 8 seed. Jared in the chat, go ahead and let me know when that's playing.
Excuse me.
And that will be an interesting matchup because Joe at least is not running what everyone else has been showing us.
I like that.
I think that's fair to say. So that's part of what he and I were looking for variations from what everyone else is running.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to what Jonny did here with CCT and light side ops. Although light side ops, I'm really surprised we didn't see more of because it is still very strong in the format.
Mm-hmm. As we just saw, Jared's in the chat saying that our quarterfinal game number 4 is at 5:30 Eastern tomorrow. Garrett Larson will be on the call, and then once that game is finished, we'll have our top 4. So stay tuned to the forums, Slack, Discord, Twitter, all the stuff.
Jared, did you want me to join that one also since you're on the chat?
But,
Guys, I'm going to tap out. That was fun.
yeah, thank you, Justin, for coming on.
Take care.
Ian, thank you as well.
Absolutely.
That's all we got for tonight. So thank you all for watching. Have a good evening. Again, Hollow Theater tomorrow or on Wednesday night. Chris Schoenthal, Chris Kelly will be on to spoil the rest of set 21. And then, yeah, you got a lot more retro action coming on. That's going to be fun.
Yep.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.